Hello, everyone. Please be seated. Good afternoon. We're going to do it one more time. Good afternoon. Welcome to the College of Humanities and Fine Arts Senior Recognition Celebration. I'm Barbara Krauthammer, Dean of the College of Humanities and Fine Arts, and it's my great pleasure, and I am so happy to be here with all of you today as we celebrate our remarkable and accomplished graduating seniors. Congratulations, class of 2022. We'll begin with the UMass Amherst Land Acknowledgement. The University of Massachusetts Amherst acknowledges that it was founded and built on the unceded homelands of the Pecumtuck Nation on the land of the Norwottuck community. We begin with gratitude for nearby waters and lands. We recognize these lands and waters as important relations with which we are all interconnected and depend on to sustain life and well-being. The Pecumtuck had connections with these lands for millennia. Over 400 years of colonization, when Pecumtuck peoples were displaced, many joined their Algonquin relatives to the east, south, west, and north. That includes Mashpee and Aquinnah-Wampanoag, Nipmuc, Narragansett, Mohegan, Pequot, Mohican communities, and the Abenaki and other nations of the Wabanaki Confederacy. These native peoples still maintain connections and relationships of care for these lands today. We also acknowledge that the University of Massachusetts Amherst is a land-grant university. As part of the Morrill Land Grant Act, portions of land from 82 Native nations west of the Mississippi were sold to provide the resources to found and build this university. As an active first step towards decolonization, we encourage you to learn more about the Native nations whose homelands UMass Amherst now resides on, and the indigenous homelands on which we live and work. We also invite you to deepen your relationships to these living lands and waters. So, audience, please join me in thanking the Graduate Brass Quintet for giving us music today. I'd also like to start by thanking all of the people who have worked so hard to make today's ceremony happen. Thank you to the audiovisual team for Access Audiovisual Systems, and my sincerest thanks to everyone in the College of Humanities and Fine Arts who helped make today possible, especially Christine Maribel, Kathy Randall, and Senior Associate Dean Joy Bowman, as well as Sarah Gibbons, Willow Cohen, Amy Fleig, Jessica Johnson, Joshua Reese, and Chris Burnett. Thank you all for the time and energy that you put into this celebration of our students. Okay, so students, for you, I want to start with what I think is going to be the most important message that I have to give you today. As you already know, the university commencement ceremony later this afternoon is the moment when you and your fellow undergraduates from across the university will be formally recognized by the university chancellor for the conferral of your degrees. So during that ceremony, when I get up and say, "Will the graduates of the College of Humanities and Fine Arts please rise?" I expect to hear a lot of noise and cheering from you and your families. Okay, the graduates in Eisenberg usually make the most noise, so I'm counting on you to be louder. Okay, I'm joined this morning by the following leaders of the College of Humanities and Fine Arts. Please stand to be recognized when your name is called. Senior Associate Dean Joy Bowman, Associate Dean Lisa Green, Distinguished Professor of Linguistics. Associate Dean Jason Morley, Professor of History. Nancy Noble, Senior Lecturer in Art History. Andrea Russworm, Associate Professor of English. And we are also very pleased to welcome Mary Burns from the University of Massachusetts Board of Trustees. I'd like also to recognize Assistant Dean Sandra Perillo, who is retiring after many years at UMass. I don't know where she is. Sandy has played a critical role as the director of the HFA Advising Center, helping students navigate their academic paths, connecting students with resources, and always being a strong supporter and dedicated advocate for our students. Please join me in recognizing Sandy Perillo. Graduates, I want to begin with a dedication to your families and friends who have supported you, encouraged you, comforted you, and cheered for you. Please join me in thanking your families and friends for helping you get to this exciting moment. Graduates, we are here to celebrate you in the company of your families and friends and faculty mentors, and to recognize each of you individually for your accomplishments. Now, typically, this is the part of the speech where I would expand on the importance of the humanities and arts in your lives and in our society and the world. I would tell you that the humanities and arts matter every day and in every way. They offer us moments of escape, beauty, and joy that can be simply entertaining or utterly transcendent. Works of literature, history, or philosophy, and theater productions, works of art, can help us understand our own lives and imagine new worlds. In a typical commencement address, I would go on to remind you that your time at UMass has given you the skills, knowledge, and confidence to follow well-defined career trajectories and to clear new paths in your pursuit of your interests and goals. And all of this is true. You are graduating from one of the country's leading research universities. You have been taught by professors who are internationally recognized experts in their fields. And you have made friends, joined clubs, performed in plays, made music, read poetry, cheered at sports events, and contributed to the vibrant life of our campus. But for your graduating class, looking back reveals that your time at UMass has been anything but typical. A little more than 2 years ago, life as we knew it changed in ways that we're still trying to understand. The global pandemic took too many lives in our communities, our country, and around the world. We left campus and had to isolate, suppressing the desire and need to socialize, to sit side by side, or to share a meal with a friend. Many of you spent a year on Zoom, and the phrases "you're muted" and "how do I share my screen" became all too familiar. Some of you in music and dance and theater were on campus last year, playing your instruments, designing theater performances under tents across campus, keeping the arts alive when they were needed most. When we all returned to campus this year, you remembered your masks, submitted your test kits, and extended a good deal of patience and understanding to your peers and professors. And we thank you for that. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a professor of history. As a historian, I've studied the events and ideas that have sparked revolutions, ended slavery, advanced women's rights, secured LGBTQ rights, and have given rise to democratic societies. The global COVID-19 pandemic, the January 6th insurrection, racial injustices and violence, and war, as well as the appointment of a Black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court and the election of a Black Asian woman as Vice President of the United States all stand as stark reminders that history is unfolding before our eyes. Your generation will long be defined by these momentous events in our nation and the world. Your lives and sense of self will be defined by how you respond to these events and how you work to shape history. Through conversations with many of you, I know that these events have resonated in your families, communities, dorms, and classrooms, and have pushed you to reflect and look at the world from new perspectives. You've asked yourselves, what do I value? Where do I fit? What really matters? When and why will I speak out? These are the questions that have become important to you, and this gives me enormous hope for the future. I know you will approach them with sincerity, integrity, curiosity, and patience. Take time to reflect on your experiences. Acknowledge all that you have accomplished, and also be mindful of all that has been challenging or been lost. Give yourself and others the compassion and space to mourn and heal, and to grow and thrive. As you move beyond UMass, you'll realize that the humanities and arts, the fields that you've dedicated the past 4 or 5 years to studying and understanding, will help you navigate the world as engaged citizens. Students of the humanities and arts can and do compete successfully in job markets. Now, I'm saying this mostly for your parents, not for you. Employers confirm year after year that the skills they value the most are not necessarily technical job-specific skills, but rather the ability to communicate, to solve abstract problems, and most importantly, to think critically and independently. These are the skills that allow you to be forward-thinking and adaptable, and now more than ever, your creativity, your intellectual independence, your inclination to question everything, and your ability to view things from many angles will serve you well. More than ever, our society, indeed our world, needs people with the skills and habits of mind that the study of humanities and arts provides, the skills that you have. Your creativity will sustain beauty and clear new paths to pursue justice. Your ability to communicate will allow you to be heard and to make a difference. Speak out and be heard. Speak out for justice, for equality, for beauty and for science, for reason and for civil dialogue. You have the awareness to recognize your own interests and goals, but I hope you will also strive to understand other people's interests and goals and make the world better for others. You are prepared to transition from yesterday's students to the thinkers, artists, inventors, teachers, innovators, and leaders of tomorrow. You are our best hope for a tolerant, thoughtful, and more just future. I have great expectations of you. You have all made your mark on this college, and I am confident that you will continue to make your mark in all of your endeavors. Now, I learned late last night that one of our graduating seniors was awarded the Senior Leadership Award by the UMass Alumni Association. This award recognizes graduating seniors who have demonstrated outstanding leadership and service to the UMass Amherst community. So if Harriet Dallum from the Architecture Department is here, please stand. Congratulations, Harriet. And so now, to get to the part that we've all been waiting for, I want to leave you with one final piece of advice, paraphrased from the great writer and scholar Zora Neale Hurston. Jump at the sun. You might not land on the sun, but at least you'll get off the ground. Class of 2022, I wish you the very best of everything. Please stay in touch with us. You are the newest group of HFA alumni, and I can't wait to hear what you do next. Congratulations. The department chairs will now come forward to present their graduates and to bestow the commemorative medals.
Good afternoon. My name is Dean Robinson. I'm interim chair of the W.E.B. Du Bois Department of Afro-American Studies. On this fine occasion, I'd like to congratulate our majors and to briefly remind them, as if they need reminding, about the insights that emerge from Afro-American or Black studies. Ralph Ellison's 1970 Time magazine article, "What America Would Be Like Without Blacks," captures the central points. Ellison writes, quote, "Since the beginning of the nation, white Americans have suffered from a deep inner uncertainty as to who they really are. One of the ways that has been used to simplify the answer has been to seize upon the presence of Black Americans and use them as a marker, a symbol of limits, a metaphor for outsider," unquote. But despite a difference of social status, Black people have shaped whatever the mainstream is. We know that in literature, in music, and in popular culture. It is true of politics, and I quote, "Without the presence of Blacks, our political history would have been otherwise. No slave economy, no civil war, no violent deconstruction of the Reconstruction, no KKK, and no Jim Crow system. And without the disenfranchisement of Black Americans and the manipulation of racial fears and prejudices, the disproportionate impact of white Southern politicians would have been impossible. Indeed, it is almost impossible to conceive of what our political system would have become without the snarl of forces that make our nation what it is today," unquote. Could there be a more timely insight? To our graduates, I will draw from Ellison once more to express our hope for you and for the future of our nation. It is you who, quote, "gives creative tension to our struggle for justice and a closer correlation between the meaning of words and reality, between ideal and conduct, our assertions and our actions." Congratulations.
I'm Britt Russert. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Department of Afro-American Studies, and I'm so pleased to congratulate our two graduating seniors who are both brilliant scholars and absolute inspirations. Carolyn Hala Parker Fairbairn. Sophia Alexandra Meadows Murillo. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Schreiber, Chair of the Department of Architecture, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Professor Erica Zigas, and my other colleague, Perry Riahi. The Department of Architecture provides an intellectually rigorous design education that grounds its pre-professional students in the art and science of the built environment. Its interdisciplinary collaborative program embraces spirited, socially progressive, and environmentally responsive design. As our students, we asked you to contemplate the role of design in creating beautiful, accessible, and equitable spaces. The significance of that work is now heightened in the wake of enormous public health, environmental, social, and economic justice, and political upheaval characterized by your time at UMass. Your thoughtful ways of seeing how we navigate the world is essential to envisioning a way forward and building a better future. We can't wait to see what you build. Congratulations to you all.
Greetings. I am so delighted to introduce you to the graduating architecture students this year. Lauren Elizabeth Gonzalez. Kaylee Jackman. Lillian Rose Drexler. Neve Catherine Curry. Valentine Bullpin. Michaela Marjorie Maloney. Amanda June Ferrante. Emily Elizabeth McNulty. Faye Thurber. Callista Barbara Reagan. Angelo Landry. Seth Alec Marks. Jason Varela Suarez de Cavallo. Blake Andrew Helstein. Aaron Lamb. Benjamin Oriel Ortiz. Jonathan Tegu Kim. Jackson Eric Billingkoff. Ethan, he did it to me again. Ethan Gowell Katnack. Craig Thornton Riley. Luke Matthew Militello. Tiber Lane Gully. Harriet Patience Dallum. Alice Yanina Bednarczyk. Ndidiamaka Ngozi Onbweke. Olivia Rose McCafferty. Maya Princess McWilliams. Yubika Martinovic. Danielle Louise Sweet. Hadley Ann Zolak.
Go this way.
Good afternoon. My name is Youngmin Moon, and today I'm chair of the I'm chair of the art department. I'm joined today by my colleague, Professor Jeff Casper. Art graduates, coming from your high schools, you might have thought that art allows you to express yourself. Over the past 4 years, you have learned that art is far more than that. Art stems from your careful observation of the world and reflection of the world as well, and your imagination to think otherwise. Art is fundamental to human values, social life, and sensory engagement. Through art, ideas become tangible, and we gain new ways of seeing, understanding, and communicating. Art enables you to illuminate your world and reveal your beliefs and values. Art's inherent capacities to understand and to generate multiple perspectives and interpretations allows for a nuanced understanding of our increasingly complex world. Today, our contemporary culture is bombarded by unstable images for mindless consumption and profits. The future of our culture is in your hands. Whether you pursue a career in the arts or not, use your creativity and critical thinking skills, and aspire to explore ideas that are hospitable for the well-being of all human beings, communities, and the planet. Congratulations to you and to the family and friends who made this day possible.
Hello, I'm Professor Casper. I'm honored to announce our Department of Art graduates. Madison Rose Pete Smith. Ryan Conlon. Taylor Ashley Cohen. Jimmy Fan. Sophia Wilson. Jinran Liu. Sophia Van Helene. Jennifer Lauren Milanzik. Jordan Olivia Peterson. Nina Valentine Jones. Horatio Marchon. Elise Marie Avolio. Molly Elizabeth Brooks. Chloe McLean. Julia Evans. Kanan Elijah Bushi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica Schmitter. I'm the chair of the Department of the History of Art and Architecture, and I'm here today with my colleague Meg Vickery, who is the undergraduate program director. My comments are actually directed to our graduates. To the graduates in the history of art, the entire faculty of the department, many of whom you have worked with in your time here, wishes to congratulate you on your accomplishment today. We all know it has not been an easy time to graduate, but you did it. Without doubt, we are sure that you have bright, interesting, and dynamic lives and careers ahead of you. So what I have to say is good luck, bon voyage, and keep in touch. Thank you.
It is my great pleasure to introduce our graduates today. Margaret Buswick. Mackenzie Butler. And Olivia Padula.
Welcome and congratulations to the 2022 graduates of the Department of Classics. I'm Anthony Tuck. I'm chair of the Department of Classics, and I'm joined today by two of my brilliant colleagues, Professor Shannon Hogue and Professor Simon Oswald. The entire faculty of our department wishes to extend our warmest congratulations to all of you, and our thanks as well to your families for sharing you with us throughout your time here at UMass. Over the past years, you've worked to build your own foundations upon those of the ancient world, and in so doing, created for yourself a place from which you can stand taller and see further than those who've come before you. Those of us who've had the privilege and honor of working with you, of enjoying the benefit of your insight, your resilience, and your curiosity, we all understand what it has taken for you to not just meet the challenges of these years, but to thrive as you have. We can only learn the limits of our strength when we possess the courage to test it. And while these years have certainly tested you, they've also only confirmed that you possess a courage and a strength equal to this moment. So you graduate today not just with our heartfelt congratulations, but with our most profound respect.
Good afternoon, everyone. My colleague Simon and I are thrilled to present the graduates of the Department of Classics. Skylar Edward Peck. Harriet Smith. Kerrigan Rose Fournier. Jacqueline Mary O'Connor.
Hi, I'm Randall Noper. I'm chair of the Department of English, and with me is my colleague Jenny Adams, who will do the reading the names thing. And we're here to celebrate these graduates and send them on to greater things. You already heard from Zora Neale Hurston and from Ralph Ellison. Well, about college, W.E.B. Du Bois said, "Life is more than meat, even though life without food dies. Living is not for earning, earning is for living. The man that spends his life earning a living has never lived. The education that trains men simply for earning a living is not education." What should education do? Open you to the fullest enjoyment of the possibilities of human existence. Develop and broaden your feelings and emotions through sound and color, line and form. Provide the technical mastery of the media that these paths and emotions need for expression of their full meaning. Enliven your creative impulse in thought and imagination. These things lead to the joy of living, to love, friendship, knowledge, to literature with romance, poetry, the essay. Freedom, he concludes, is the path of art, and living in the fuller and broader sense of the term is the expression of art. You've learned these things as English majors. We send you forth to live fully and broadly, and yes, to make a living, all of which you can and will do. Our best wishes and congratulations to the English graduates of 2022, your families, and your friends.
Hi there. As my department chair has said, I'm Jen Adams. I am not, as in your program, David Fleming, who could not be here today, although I am in his very large robes. And I will do my best with the pronunciation of all your students' names. John Michael Matea. Hannah Ali Dutinsky. Daniel Ralph Landers. Hannah Maynard. Anthony Scarpa. Mitchell Robert Witt. Ariana Talaga. Laura Klein. Virginia Eileen Preston. Anvi Rajan. Rubina Daneshvar. Fotini Karamanashkis. Julia Ann Kanan. Madeline Joyce Sullivan. Luciana Samir Sarkis. Lucas Matthew Jones. Olivia Rose Petroza. Amanda May McCombs. Ashley Shea. Evan Tundre. Christopher Joseph Greco. Benjamin James Lagasse. Christopher Cahill Estes. Julia Matheson Fleischer. Alexis Rose. Robert Campbell Cooley. Melu Julia Zulensky. Catherine Grace Finelli Setin. Chloe Anna Blanner. Ryan DeLeva. Jade Tanang. Taeyang. Cameron Robert McCauley. Layla Elgasab. Maya Amari. Tashana Johnson. Caitlin Kelly Morris. Diana Paloma La Paz. Rye Anthony Van Strae. Eden Anais Swansea. Aaliyah Avril Riley. Tyler Christopher Burgogne, sorry. Lara Mukherjee. Malia Gallagher. Patrick James Oshesky. Jacob Joseph Harwood. Samuel Wright Edge. Grace Elizabeth Lucy. Quinn Edward Urbonas. Congratulations, you all. Go English.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Ogilvie, Chair of the History Department, and I'm joined today by my colleagues, Professor Jason Morley, Anne Broadbridge, Daniel Gordon, Sigrid Schmalzer, and Priyanka Srivastava. And my remarks are addressed to our graduates. History graduates, you have learned much in your 4 or 5 or 6 years at UMass Amherst. You have learned that the past is prologue, that we can't understand the present without knowing how we got here. You have learned how to research the past and to critique other historians' interpretations. You can write and speak eloquently and persuasively about how our world came to be. These skills will serve you well in any path you take, as a lawyer, as a humanitarian, as a doctor, as a public servant, as an entrepreneur, or even as a teacher or professor. Remember, history is the universal discipline. Everything has a history. Congratulations to you and to the family and friends who made this day possible.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
William Harrison Huntington. Henry Raymond Damaris. Providence Ilsley Ice. Shije Guan. Chao Shi Cao. Caitlin Sarah Foster. Jake Leone. Troy Ettenhofer. Grant Flynn Silvera. Harrison Kellogg Holdgate. Timothy Foster Lowell. Michael Robert Lombardi. Marina Salerno Amicizia. Tyler Christopher Burgoyne. Thanks. Seamus Andrews Cusack. Kara Jakovitz. Genevieve Ann Waibenga. Brian Frederick Knott. Anthony Colaci. Megan Kelly O'Rourke. Allison Audette. Leonie Lee Foster. Colleen Elizabeth Scully. Thank you. Robert Fidel Riccio. Michael Brooks Holmes. Brendan Valley Lee. Liam Winters. Anika Grace Flynn. Shannon Brooke Ohanisian. Devin Salvador Ruberti. Ferris Nasrallah.
Can I please say congratulations to first generation students in particular?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Go
Hi,
ahead.
I wasn't supposed to talk today. I want to give an extra big congratulations, and I'm so proud of you, to all of our first generation students. All of us who are immigrants, children of immigrants, live below the poverty line, experience homelessness and abuse, the most toxic obstacles in the entire world. We faced all of them with dignity and strength and pride, and we are here today.
Seville Usmanova. Mitchell Connolly Montgomery. Alex Curlin. Corey James Champion. Ashley Myra Blatt. Sydney Mae Griffin. Carolyn Ann Byrne. Gabriela Carvalho. Isabella Notarangelo. Matthias Tillone. Okay. Ruslan Gutierrez. Nicholas Naimin O. Ooh. Derek Rockwell. Chakara Marie Humans. Colin James Messenger. Samuel Grossfeld. Zachary William Richards. Maya Ann Francis Fudala.
Merhaba bikum. Shalom aleichem. I'm David Mednikoff, Chair of the Judaic and Near Eastern Studies Department, and I'll be joined by my colleague, Professor Ann Broadbridge, who's also Director of Middle Eastern Studies. To the 2022 graduates in Judaic Studies or Middle Eastern Studies and your families, your college years have been unusual to say the least. If you can make it through this, the job market in the wider world should be no problem. The J&E department from which you have earned a credential is very unusual. Few universities combine Judaic and Middle Eastern studies into a single harmonious unit. We go against the negative examples in the wider world of people not being able to appreciate one another and learn from their differences. Our faculty serve as open-minded teachers and cutting-edge scholars who work together towards our shared mission while maintaining their own unique approaches to our two fields of study. The hard work you have done to master a difficult language and cultural background is needed more than ever. You were born at a time in which the Middle East and its connection to the U.S. were both very fraught and charged, and you have grown up amid constant challenges and reminders that genuine understanding of Jewish or Middle Eastern cultures is difficult. You are graduating during a time in which the ugly and, dare I say, all too similar phenomena of Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and broader racism remain troubling, even here in Massachusetts and sometimes on our own campus. With these challenges around us, you are particularly relevant to the world, and I know you will make a difference towards Islah al-Alam, Tikkun Olam, repairing this world. Mabruk, Mazal Tov, congratulations.
I'm Ann Broadbridge, Director of Middle Eastern Studies. Noam Bornstein. Creed Burton. Zach Glanz. Jamal Weinglass.
Good afternoon. I'm Marisol Barbon, interim chair of the Department of Languages, Literatures, and Cultures, and it is my distinct honor to say a few words to you today on behalf of my colleagues. We know it's not been easy to get here. First, you had to transition from high school to university. Then, from one day to the next, you had to adjust to remote learning. And your senior year was also peppered with uncertainties as we all came back to campus. Demonstrating this adaptability and resilience is a tremendous achievement in itself. You have overcome all these obstacles and at the same time managed to excel in your studies. Studying the languages and literatures of cultures different from our own matters. During a years-long dedication to your major, you have developed skills that will be of ever-increasing value to you in the future. You've learned to communicate with millions of other people in a language that was new to you just a few years ago. But you've really done much more. Whether you move abroad or stay here, your studies prepared you for meaningful interactions with other cultures more generally, with the ideas, experiences, and feelings of people who don't necessarily perceive the world in a familiar way. Obviously, these are essential skills that will help you professionally. But it is our conviction that they will also enrich your life and contribute to the betterment of society. In these times of growing conflict and nationalisms, the ability to understand other cultures and to build upon our shared humanity is vital and urgent. The world needs people like you. So my sincerest congratulations and best wishes to you and also to your families who supported you all the way through. We're very proud of you. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, auguri, enhorabuena.
Hello and welcome. I'm Karine Taktiris, Undergraduate Program Director of Comparative Literature. We're so pleased to honor our graduates today who work and study in Catalan, French, German, Ancient Greek, Japanese, Latin, Mandarin, Nantong, Portuguese, Sanskrit, and Spanish, while analyzing oral and written literatures, film, and graphic novels and comics. Christopher Sean Nolan. Yeah. Vanessa Marquez Pineda. Alex Swirl. Chini Lahoti.
Hi, I'm Zhongwei Xian, the undergraduate program director of the Chinese program. I would like to say in Chinese for our graduates, 学而时习之，不亦乐乎？希望未来的岁月将继续给你带来幸福。Aidan Campbell. Julie Page Chemowitz. Shankar Shorter. Nancy Zheng. 加油！
Hi, I'm Reiko Sono, undergraduate program co-director for Japanese. 日本語専攻の皆様、ご卒業おめでとうございます。よく頑張りましたね。お疲れ様。キャサリン・明るいグティエレス・オレゴさん。トート・秀才・ラッセル・ジェニングスさん。ジョセフ・天才・エドモンド・ユニス・ジュニアさん。コルビー・ガンバリア・ジューン・リッチフィールドさん。
My name is Philippe Baillargeon. I'm the director of the French and Francophone Studies program. Chers parents, étudiants et amis, c'est mon privilège et mon immense plaisir de vous présenter la promotion 2002 des études françaises et francophones. Emily Subinko. Go UMass.
Buongiorno tutti. I'm Cara Takakshin. I'm the undergraduate program director of Italian Studies. Congratulazioni laureandi, ce l'avete fatta, fatevi sentire, in bocca al lupo e auguri. Cecilia Cipullo. Scott Downs. Melissa Campos.
Good afternoon. I'm Kerstin Müller-Dembling, undergraduate program director in German and Scandinavian Studies. In German und Scandinavian Studies sind wir sehr stolz auf unsere Studierenden, besonders auf unsere Hauptfächler, die in ihren Kursen und in ihren Abschlussprojekten zur deutschen und skandinavischen Kultur, Geschichte und Sprache hervorragende Arbeit geleistet haben. Herzlichen Glückwunsch und alles Gute für die Zukunft. Und die Studenten sind Hadley Beauregard, Quinn Lawrence Dyer-Hawes, Tyler Edmund Dillon und Dylan William Akbara.
Good afternoon. I'm Danielle Thomas. I'm the undergraduate program director of the Spanish Studies program, and I'm here to represent today not only Spanish, but also Portuguese and Brazilian studies. And Luis Amaral, who is the director of that program, sends his regrets that he can't be here today. I was going to say some remarks in Spanish, but since I don't speak Portuguese, I will just leave it at enhorabuena, parabéns. Congratulations to graduates and families. Mariela Elizabeth Cojolan. Natercia Bicalio. Emily Louise Condon. Avery Elizabeth Schroeder. Kate Scollins. Christine Marie Polmisano. Georgia Marie MacDonald. Corey Elizabeth Kelleher. Catherine Pinchton. Caterina Rojas. Aviva Simone Palencia. David Abraham. Joseph Daniel Matt. Herman Alejandro Rikehoff Strong. Jillian Page Stern. Lily Altman. Emily Isaacs. Benjamin Aronson. Erin Jane Hartwig. Angélica Nascimento. Olivia Corey. Alicia Silva. Jasmine Venus Gray. Ana Luisa Erlascher Skalser. Marilia Machado Lemi. Constanza Reyes Bricio. ¿Todo? Alexander Michael Worrell. Mildred María Reyes. Y Ana Gorfinkel. Enhorabuena, parabéns, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy Szaniawski. I'm the Amesbury Professor of Polish Language and Culture, and today it's my honor to represent the Russian, Eurasian, and Polish program at UMass. And we have a very large cohort this year. We have one person. John asked that I read the speech in the language in which he majored, namely Russian. Remember, languages do not wage wars. Джон влюбился в русский язык и литературу еще в школе, когда он впервые начал изучать русский язык. В ЮМАС он продолжил свое увлечение, изучая 3 года русского языка и посещая ряд курсов для специализации РЕПС, включая литературу, ближневосточные исследования, политологию и антропологию. Он также получил сертификат переводчика. Среди его фаворитов в русской литературе «Мастер и Маргарита» Михаила Булгакова. Джон родом из Мидлборо и благодарит свою семью за поддержку и ободрение на протяжении многих лет. Поздравляю, Джон Джонович, от имени программы РЕПС. Мы все тебе желаем наилучшего в твоих будущих предприятиях. John Robert Bursdom.
Hello, my name is Joe Pater. I'm the chair of the linguistics department. And here is my colleague Christine Yu, who is the undergraduate program director, a very popular undergraduate program director, apparently. It's my great pleasure to celebrate your successful completion of your undergraduate degree in linguistics with you. You're now going out into a world where you will need to create your own answers to the questions that every linguist gets. What's linguistics? How many languages do you speak? You are also going out into a world where you will have the opportunity to use your skills in analysis and in teamwork and in the understanding of and respect for language diversity that you developed as a linguistics student. Whether you take up a career closely related to linguistics, in teaching or in industry, or whether you use your skills in one of the wide range of other places in which they are valued, I wish you all the best in this next stage of your life. We'll miss you. Please stay in touch.
It's my great pleasure to present to you this year's linguistics graduates. Doug Trong. Roy Young Yoon. Saylin Sarah Kim. Mirella Vladova. Adriana Teresa Portello. Carter Patrick Galati. Elise Valerie Allen. Thomas Gray Morton. Grace Casofo. Jeremy Doran. Vishal Kulakanover. Fady St. Fleur. Lucas A. Hines. Aiden Roshanali Mazagonwala. Alana Romanelli. Joseph Paul O'Leary. Maggie Rose Cox. Charlotte May Santoro. Hannah Margaret Hedwig Parrott. Anna Lois Bowen. Aviva Simone Palencia. Aiden Sandvik. Moritzen. Zhao Fengyue. Jeffrey Chong Young Wong. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. My name is Salvatore Macchia, and I'm the chair of the Department of Music and Dance. This afternoon, I'm joined by my colleague and Chief Undergraduate Advisor, Erica Drake, and also by Professor Dan Albert. My remarks are directed towards our students. As emerging artists and scholars, the last 3 years have been a time of great challenge for you. Because of the pandemic, you had to virtually reinvent yourself as students of our discipline. Unable to rehearse or perform indoors, you switched to outside venues or tents. You learned to record musical videos in isolation while maintaining the highest artistic standards possible. Academically, you continued to write scholarly papers in music history and analytical studies in theory, while being deprived of the physical proximity and inspiration of your friends and colleagues. As you begin the next stage of your careers, whatever you are going, or on to graduate school or beginning your careers as performers or teachers, you can take great pride in what you have accomplished up to this point. And I know you will have great success in your new ventures. I congratulate you on your perseverance, your ingenuity, and above all else, on your dedication to your art. Bravo tutti.
My name is Erica Drake. As Chief Undergraduate Advisor, it is my honor to present our music graduates. William Wallace Archer. Courtney Brennan. Julia Ann Lauer. Andrew John Armstrong. Molly Stewart Plaisted. Stephanie Miley. Matthew Padula. Simon White. Samuel Avery Nadiff. Justin William MacArthur. Crystal Curran. Simon Chang. Eliza Howells. Thomas Alman Gray. Top. Jonathan William Decker. Matthew Elliott Taylor. Colleen Ruth McAuliffe. Cameron Edward Samuel. Franz Huynh Schnickson. Devlin Scott Danner. Jake Michael Slajewski. Annalise Elaine Hammer. Lauren Nicole Foley. Rachel Catherine Chen. Hannah Cherry. Zoe Guinevere Stenson. Hannah Lynn Pelletier. An-Che Tang. Of course. Justin Vitale. Tiffany Chan. Jared Thomas Sullivan. Salen Sarah Kim. And last but not least, up there with our brass quintet, Christopher John Sperry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tom Vacanti, Director of the Dance Program in the Department of Music and Dance. And with me today is Molly Christie Gonzalez, our Professor of Dance Education. So, as dancers, coming out of social isolation this past year has felt both exhilarating and daunting. Like everyone in this room, being amongst other people again has often left us feeling uncertain, fatigued, and highly sensitive to each other. The physical touch and the proximity we were collectively denied and the comfort we derived from being amongst each other now feels like a totally new and strange experience. This physical newness was felt tenfold in the dance studio when we were allowed to move through space again and to be dancers in every sense of the word. We learned what a privilege it is to be a dancer. COVID has undoubtedly impacted the dance profession. Everything we knew about the dance vocation is not necessarily true anymore. The field is changing by the day, and dance artists are finding ways to create new dance careers for themselves. The constraints of old systems are being critically evaluated and in many cases done away with. This is a scary yet exciting time in dance. Dancers are pioneering a new way of living as artists, demanding respect for themselves and the profession they are dedicating their lives to. These graduating seniors will be joining a large group of creative artists in defining the field for themselves and paving the way for future dancers. As they leave the UMass Amherst dance program, I hope they break the mold and make great strides in creating new definitions of what it means to be a dance professional, and above all, find gratitude for every moment spent in the studio and on stage. Go forth and do great things. You will always have the support of your dance family here at UMass.
Hello, I'm Molly Christie Gonzalez, and I'm so proud to announce the dance graduates. And I expect you to dance across the stage. Madeline Audrey Canavan. Woo! Jade Amanda Farrell. Emma Christine Garber. Hannah Beth Lieberman. Stephanie T. Schramm. Katya Rosalie Taylor.
Hello, I'm Phil Bricker, Chair of the Philosophy Department, and I'm joined today by Professor Vanessa DeHarvin, our undergraduate advisor. When Marco Rubio was campaigning for the presidency in 2015 and 16, he often mentioned philosophy, and not in a good way. In one nationally televised debate, he said, "Welders make more money than philosophers. We need more welders and less philosophers." He was wrong on both counts. As many at the time pointed out to him, philosophers make 78% more than welders. To his credit, he later rescinded his remarks, tweeting, "I've changed my view on philosophy, but not on welders. We need both. Vocational training for workers and philosophers to make sense of the world." Don't ever let anyone tell you that your decision to major in philosophy was impractical or unprofitable, an attempt to escape from the workaday world. As you soon discovered, majoring in philosophy was both rigorous and challenging, requiring that you develop the skills to communicate clearly and effectively, to think analytically, to identify and question the underlying assumptions and arguments. You've had to apply these skills to the deepest questions in philosophy, such as what can we know about the world? How should we live our lives? As well as to contemporary political problems and ethical dilemmas. We're confident that these skills will serve you well throughout your life. For no matter your career plans, you'll find yourself calling upon the skills developed through philosophy. And perhaps more important, those skills will help you to become an engaged and informed citizen of the world, able to make a difference for the good in the lives of others. So on behalf of the entire philosophy faculty, I congratulate you on your graduation from UMass. We're proud of what you've accomplished, and we wish you all possible success.
Hello, I'm delighted to announce our graduates, and also shout out to all the secondary majors out there too. Anea Doty. Nicholas Foley Simmons. Whoa. Alexander Samuel Konecki. Melissa Korda. Callie Ann Harry. Nyleek Brooks Allen. Michael Bergeron. Evan Isaac Fellman. Dylan Michael Morrow. Grayson Lee Rothschild Shea. Karen Larson Kimball. James Russell McCormick.
Almost there, folks. My name is Harley Erdman. I am chair of the UMass Theater Department. My pronouns are he, him, and I am thrilled to be here this afternoon to present to you the UMass Theater Class of 2022. I'm honored this afternoon to be joined here also by Professor Gilbert McCauley. These graduates before you have gone through a lot to be here in cap and gown today. It's been a journey from pre-pandemic through pandemic to kind of sort of mostly partly post-pandemic that none of them could have foreseen when they started. Their journey rivals the epic journeys of characters from the world's great plays who confronted obstacles large and small, conflicts and crises and catastrophes to reach a resolution, a closure, a climax. And as they ready themselves to start another great journey, I'm here to let you all know you are looking at an extraordinary group of people. As theater makers, they have learned how to use their imaginations to apply their craft to work in teams. They have done it as actors, designers, directors, dramaturgs, scholars, stage managers, techies, all of them artists. They have done it with humor, joy, exuberance, love, and commitment. And they have learned at a younger age than most that things don't come easy. Because of what they accomplished here, because of what they walked through to be able to walk across this stage today, they have stories to tell that are going to rock your world. So to the students, I leave you with the words of poet, playwright Ntozake Shange, creation is everything you do, make something. Keep on creating, keep on making things, whether you end up in theater or any other career, job, endeavor, whatever, the world will be there to be your witness. Go UMass Theater.
Good afternoon, I'm Gilbert McCauley. I am pleased and honored to read the names of our 2022 graduates. Billy Wainsner. Eddie Pisano. Michael Stephen O'Malley. Allison Butts. Hannah Casella. Allison Marie Farina. Tess Evelyn Beckwith. Liz Zabit. Fiona Lee Herder. Emma Louise Hagan. Dylan Castro. Taylor Rose Mickens. Angela Christine Quabiha. Victoria Ogogo Lee. Eloise Arnold. Isabella Vitti. Phoebe Bell. Shelley Head. Katniss Shee. Chelsea Cannon. Emma Stankiewicz. Ariana Morales. Elizabeth Castellon Gonsalves.
Hello, I'm Angie Willey. I'm interim chair of Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies. I'm joined today by Professor Swati Shah, our undergraduate program director. It's my pleasure to congratulate some of the Department of Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies 2022 graduates today. Together with their friends, families, lovers, and communities who've supported and cheered them on. They're graduating from one of the oldest WGSS programs in the country. They've been studying long histories of social justice movement in and outside the U.S., including indigenous struggles and those for sustainability, disability justice, reproductive justice, anti-imperialism, labor and feminism, Black freedom movements, queer and transgender liberation movements, and movements against sexual violence. These movements shape not only what, but how we know. Black lesbian feminist warrior poet and theorist Audre Lorde reminded us often that our work is more than our jobs and more than our careers. We're thrilled on behalf of the department that part of your work in the world was studying with us. Keep being the change, keep doing your work. Our worlds are better for it. And again, congrats.
Hello, everyone. I'm Swati Shah. It's my privilege to present our graduating class for 2022. In addition to our graduates who are present, I'd like to give a shout out to those who could not be here, as well as our secondary majors and minors. We are so very, very proud of you all. And in the spirit of the notorious RBG, we hope you all make very good trouble. Michaela Bowler. Kirsten Crow. Isaac De La Torre. Mandana Mujahid. Elizabeth Olson. Joy Divine Richardson. Isabel Weber.
Wow. We are at the end. I have a few closing remarks, and then we'll set you out as graduates. First, would everybody please join me in thanking all of our fantastic, brilliant, and dedicated faculty. Graduates, your family, your friends, your faculty are here to celebrate you. We are so proud of you. We wish the very best for you in everything that you do from now on. And we really hope that you will stay in touch as HFA alumni and come back and visit and share your wisdom and experience with classes to come. So once more, let me remind you, when we get to the football stadium, I want to hear your noise when it's our turn. Families, that goes for you too. Congratulations, class of 2022. We are so proud of you. As you all know, there will be buses outside to take you to the stadium, and guests, we ask that you let the students board first so we can make sure they get there to the final graduation ceremony. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remember to take all your belongings as you exit, and thank you again for coming.